In 2023 alone, over 500 anti-trans bills have been introduced across the United States, many of which have been passed. These bills restrict transgender people access to gender-affirming healthcare, the military, and other aspects of daily life. These bills also affect children's access to sports teams and education in their schools. As more and more people seem to be identifying as gender fluid, there seems to be more and more opposition to the trans community, which brings us to today's topics of trans rights. So let's chit-chat on the KitCast.
Hello, my name is Kennedy.
My name is Annie.
And my name is Taryn.
And you are listening to the Kast, the podcast where we talk about anything we want. And this week we are going to be talking about the controversial topic of trans rights. Before we start discussing, we should get ourselves familiar with the vocabulary surrounding this topic.
All of these definitions originate from Stanford University. So transgender, or more colloquially trans, is an attitude that describes someone not fully identified with the sex or assigned at birth. Cisgender or cis is someone's gender identity that corresponds with the expectation based on the sex or assigned at birth. Gender dysphoria is the emotional distress related to one's assigned gender that is not in line with one's gender identity. And gender affirming surgery is any surgical procedure that aims to increase the sense of congruence with one's gender identity and physical body. And now it's time for the Kit Chats.
The topic today is, how does identifying as transgender affect the lives of people in America?
I personally believe that trans people deserve to have more rights, and they should not be restricted in settings like bathrooms, schools, and hospitals. I don't believe that trans people don't present any threat to others, including children, as they're often stereotyped to be. The reason I believe trans people are discriminated against is because it threatens other people's idea of sex, gender, and the gender binary.
I believe that although people who identify as transgender are feeling violated of their rights and being mistreated, I think that we also have to think about how they are affecting cisgender people or people who identify as their gender at birth as well. When choosing to identify as a different gender, it comes off as offensive to some people who are actually born that gender, specifically women, for example. Even though you change your gender and features to make men appear to be women, you aren't actually a woman. They don't experience half of the things women experience as they come up through life, like pregnancy, breast cancer, menstrual cycles, and so much more that people born female have to endure through life. An example of this is women's sports. When trans women are integrated into women's sports, it creates an unfair advantage to women due to men naturally being stronger than the average.
I think that trans people deserve the same rights as everyone else. They aren't really harming anyone by trying to be themselves. They are just exercising basic human rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as written in the Constitution. Harming their community is doing nothing for anyone, and harassing them about who they want to be is not right.
Taryn, could you further explain your opinion?
I feel as though transgender people are definitely being violated of their rights, whether it's through housing, the workforce, and so many other ways. I also think that it's not really highlighted how transgender people can have an effect on cisgender people as well. When you are born a gender, there are certain things that gender has to endure throughout life that the other one cannot. And by saying you are that opposite gender can come off as offensive to those who have to endure those certain things.
So, Kennedy, can you further explain your opinion and how you feel about it?
Yes, well, I believe that society just puts a lot of emphasis on gender, and they put stereotypes based on who they are. And if you identify as a certain gender, they automatically put you in a certain box and make you feel like you're stuck in there. Where I just feel like the box can be like more open, and like you don't have to stick to one thing, and you could branch out and explore other possibilities. And and like femininity and masculinity shouldn't be defined to certain traits that you have. Like anybody can have their own personal opinion of what femininity and masculinity is to them.
So, Taryn, on your point, I think that I agree, and I can see how cis people can be offended by how trans people change to another gender after cis people have faced things like misogyny and misogynoir for their whole lives. But I disagree with the fact that I don't think you said this, but I don't think we should be policing other people about their gender, because it's their choice, and even if it doesn't really affect other people as much as it affects them, because they're going through so much discrimination and so much hate, that I don't think that us policing them as cis people should really be a thing.
I agree with both you guys' points, and I can see how you feel as though people really shouldn't change how one person feels just because they feel a certain way about themselves or they feel like they should change to accommodate their feelings. And I also agree with Annie's point on how transgender people experience much more mistreatment than cisgender people do as a whole.
So that's the end of our Kit Chat. Now it's time for our outro.
This week's podcast is coming to a close. We at the Kast would like to thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen to our podcast. We would like to highlight the Chamber Project, a nonprofit that aids queer and trans youth with their mental health, specifically through their 24/7 call center, as well as LGBT plus research and education. If interested, please go check out their website for more information.
Hopefully through this episode you're able to learn or at least be entertained. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share on all platforms. We'll see you next week.
Bye.